Most likely to wait to buy that gift until the last possible second. Because, of course, we're still sitting here. It's nearly June, and we're waiting for Aaron Rodgers to sign with his football team. If they don't sign, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, looking at Will Howard and Mason Rudolph at quarterback, which feels kind of like Mike Tomlin trying to up the difficulty level on his winning season streak. But even if they do sign him, I think about that Arthur Smith offense and how it really leans into play action, the quarterback run game. Those are not things Aaron Rodgers is going to be doing in his 40s here, even if he does sign with the Steelers. So, as you know, if you wait till the last second to get that gift, you don't get the best gift, but at least you get something. And the Steelers probably need something right now.
That is true. You do at least get something. Of course, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. So, Mina, your thoughts on that superlative?
I think Bill nailed it when he said when you wait a while to get a gift, it ends up being something your kid might not really want, but it's the only thing there at Target. No, I'm not speaking from experience because Aaron Rodgers was not a top quarterback by any metric last year. He was 32nd in air yards per attempt, 26th in QBR. The list goes on. We're obviously seeing decline in play. But I would also argue there's a double-sided aspect to this for Pittsburgh. Yes, he's not as good as he was, but he also might be too good, which is to say he might guide them to a mediocre finish that could make it harder for them to get their quarterback of the future next year. So if I'm a Steelers fan, I have mixed feelings about waiting for Aaron Rodgers for a number of reasons.
I have mixed feelings about this superlative just altogether without discussing it. But Jeremy, what are some important dates that are coming up that could lead to a decision from Aaron Rodgers?
Well, the Steelers don't know, if they're even getting a gift or when they're getting a gift at all. But at least the two benchmark dates we have, OTAs, May 27th. They would love to have him there for OTAs. There is no guarantee that he will be there. And then a few weeks later, early to mid-June, you have minicamp. So they are hopeful at some point in that time frame, Aaron Rodgers will have a practice jersey on, throwing the football. So when I check with people with the team, they say really a similar mindset that they still are optimistic. They remain optimistic. They have been in contact with Aaron Rodgers, but beyond that, they don't have a firm update. Nothing is imminent. In fact, the whole Steelers front office is out at a retreat for scouting purposes that they do every year. So it's not really on the radar for something to happen right now. I saw President Art Rooney, the team president, at the owners' meetings. He said we're going to wait a little while longer.
So basically, if it happens, it happens. That seems like the attitude, what it looks like when you're talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers situation. So, okay, Bill, let's move on to the AFC East and a team with a lot of questions, the Dolphins. What's your superlative there?
They are least likely to find a good solution to their most pressing problem, and that is Jalen Ramsey, the legendary cornerback who requested a trade. It feels like both sides want to do something. The problem is this request came in the middle of April, at which point a lot of teams, frankly, had spent most of their money for the offseason. Ramsey's due $23.5 million guaranteed this year. It's going to be tough for teams to even find that money in their budget. On top of that, a player on the wrong side of 30, meniscus tears in his past in both knees. Jalen Ramsey's still a good football player, but maybe not that lockdown guy from a few years ago. And it's going to be tough for the Dolphins to get him off their roster, perhaps without eating some of the money owed to him.
Yeah, a lot of money tied up in Jalen Ramsey. But Mina, what do you see as the most pressing problem for the Dolphins?
Well, I'd say the problem is that not only are they having trouble, potentially, Bill talked about this, trading Ramsey. If he leaves, the secondary is a huge issue for the pass defense. You're looking at a cornerback room absent Ramsey of Storm Duck, Kader Kohu, Cam Smith. They drafted a player in the 5th round, Javon Hollins, their star safety, is gone now. He's in New York. So, I like this pass rush, and I think Chop Robinson had a great rookie season. But behind it, I'm worried about this Miami secondary and what they'll look like with or without Ramsey.
Jeremy, what's the trade market looking like right now for Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, there is a market. I'm told from a source that the Dolphins are engaged with multiple teams on a potential trade. Nothing is imminent right now, but the people I talked to would be very surprised if Ramsey is in a Dolphins uniform. The problem is that $24 million of guaranteed money. Nobody wants to take it on. The Dolphins don't want to pay it, so they're going to have to find a sweet spot there. LA Rams have poked around on it. They really don't want to spend big here, but they certainly are open to a reunion with Ramsey. They won a Super Bowl together. I have the Dallas Cowboys on my radar because they have pulled off 3 trades this offseason. Now, they're more for players that are younger on rookie deals. They need a cornerback. And when I checked with the team, like, hey, would you pull off a 4th? They didn't shut me down. Yeah. So, we'll see. Maybe, Commanders, Cowboys, 2 teams in the NFC East that need one. Yeah,
a lot of sound effects in the background talking about the Cowboys linking them to Jalen Ramsey. Finally, Bill, the AFC West and a team that's made a bunch of changes during the offseason. What's the superlative for them?
Let's go positive with this one. Most likely to improve the Las Vegas Raiders, because there's 3 things we see in teams who make massive year-to-year jumps. The Raiders hit all 3. Obviously, upgrade at quarterback. They bring in Geno Smith. Upgraded head coach, Pete Carroll, of course, the legendary former Seahawks coach. And then something that didn't really go for well for them last year that's going to improve their fumble recovery rate. They only recovered 24% of the fumbles in their games last year, lowest rate for any team since 2011. That is going to improve. There's no ability to bounce on the football once it hits the ground. And so if that takes a step forward for the Raiders, you improve their quarterback play, the coaching play. That division might be tough to say playoff berth, but could they double their win total and be competitive in the AFC West? Absolutely.
Mina, a lot of new additions out there in Vegas. However, who do you think is going to be the most impactful?
Got to go with the quarterback, Geno Smith. Going from their situation last year to Geno, I would argue, is the single biggest upgrade in all of football. Yes, Geno threw too many interceptions under pressure last year, but he was playing behind a porous offensive line, and despite that, still had the 2nd highest on-target percentage in the NFL behind Joe Burrow. Accuracy is his calling card, and I think the Raiders are going to benefit from that in a huge way and really feel how dramatic the upgrade is under center.
And Jeremy, what have you been hearing about Geno Smith and his impact in Vegas so far?
I'm hearing Geno Smith is loving to go to work every day, that he and Pete Carroll have serious chemistry, that he's upstairs in Carroll's office all the time. They really had a chemistry from their Seattle days, and they have picked up right where they left off. And so Geno Smith is trying to just get a chemistry also with Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. That's going to be one of the best duos in the league if the Raiders have their way. That's what they're hopeful for under Chip Kelly's offense. So Geno Smith has to make that work. Word out of Las Vegas is the defense has been a little bit ahead in the OTA workouts, but Geno's just getting his footing, so they should take flight here soon.
Okay, so me and Christine, we were able to reveal our superlatives from high school. Bill, I want to start with you. Any superlatives that you remember from back in the days?
Least likely to have hair, I think, is the one that comes to mind.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Mina, what about you?
Worked out.
It was definitely not most likely to be the life of the party. I was a valedictorian. Does that count?
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Mina trumps us all.
I know, right? Yeah, Mina, you were a valedictorian. I mean, that trumps any type of superlative. Jeremy, what about you?
I was the biggest flirt.
Oh,
I was the biggest flirt.
I like
I had some game in the hallway.
Jeremy!
I don't brag about it, but
I don't brag about it.
1999.
National TV. No
West
big
Orange
deal.
High School. Yeah. So.
Thanks, guys, for the insight. That was great.
It's Randy Scott and Gary Streisky back with you on SportsCenter. The college football playoff will now be a straight seeding model, meaning the top 4 teams get the top 4 seeds and the first round bye. The 5 other conference champs still get a guaranteed spot in the 12-team field. Now, last season, the 4 conference champs got the top seeds regardless of ranking and the bye, and all 4 actually went on to lose their first game. Okay, visually here's how the college football playoff would have looked under the new seeding format announced Thursday. Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State would have earned the opening bye instead of Arizona State and Boise State. Oregon, Georgia, they still would have got the bye. In terms of first-round matchups, Clemson would have played Notre Dame, Boise State would have visited Indiana, Arizona State would have traveled to Ohio State, and Tennessee would have played host to SMU.
Đấy, móc tiếp những mũi nữa. Tiếp tục móc. Đấy, móc tiếp những mũi nữa xuống. Cứ lần lượt cho mình. Đấy, mũi nữa này. Làm luân phiên cho đến hết. Mũi tiếp theo. Đấy, cứ móc lần lượt như thế này được. Tiếp tục xuống nha. Đây mình móc tiếp những mũi còn lại vào. Cứ lần lượt cho mình cho đến hết. Đây, tiếp tục móc những mũi nữa vào. Mũi tiếp theo. Đấy, mọi người sẽ làm lần lượt vào như này nhé. Tiếp nha. Tiếp tục móc. Đây, móc tiếp những mũi nữa xuống này. Đấy, móc tiếp xuống. Cứ lần lượt như này là được nhé. Mình sẽ móc tiếp những mũi tiếp theo vào.